When I was growing up and really getting into college football, there was a team in Fort Worth with a really interesting color scheme and a pretty cool logo. They were led by explosive quarterbacks like Andy Dalton and Trevon Boykin, and had a coach who sort of became the face of the program in Gary Patterson. As I grew up, so did TCU in a sort of way, moving from Conference USA to the Mountain West to eventually the Big 12. They were the underdogs who always kept fighting even when they were not given a shot. In this video, I go over the rise and kind of fall of TCU football. The origins of TCU's football program go all the way back to December of 1896. At the time, the university was named Adran Christian University, and they would transition to Texas Christian in 1902. In their first ever football game, they beat Toby's Business College 8-6 and finished their first season going 1-1-1. During this time period, the university was located in Waco, would move back to the Fort Worth area in 1910. In 1923, they joined the Southwest Football Conference and at the time held a 165 15-0 record as a program. Before joining the Southwest Football Conference, they were members of the Texas Intercollegiate Athletic Association, winning their first conference title in 1920. Prior to the 1923 season, TCU had a revolving door of coaches. When they joined the Southwest Conference, they would see stability at the coaching position. They won their first Southwest Conference title in 1929, beating rival SMU to secure the title. In 1935, TCU hired Dutch Meyer, and during his first season as head coach, TCU and SMU again met to decide not only the Southwest Conference title, but the first trip to the Rose Bowl for a team from the Southwest Conference. Grantland Rice of the New York Sun called it the game of the century and reported the following. In a TCU stadium that seated 30,000 spectators, over 36,000 wildly excited Texans and visitors from every corner of the map packed, jammed, and fought their way into every square foot of the standing and seating spaces to see one of the greatest football games ever played. This tense, keyed-up crowd even leaped the wired fence from the top of automobiles. Although TCU would lose, they would be invited to play LSU in the Sugar Bowl. They also claimed the 1935 national championship that year. There were multiple polls at the time, so others awarded SMU, Minnesota, and Princeton as their national champions. In 1937, TCU would win the inaugural Cotton Bowl Classic and finish the 1938 season undefeated, led by Heisman winner Davey O'Brien. They were invited to the 1939 Sugar Bowl and beat the Carnegie Tech Tartans from Pittsburgh by a score of 15-7 in front of more than 50,000 spectators. Meyer would serve as the Horned Frogs head coach from 1934 to 1952, compiling a 109, 79, and 13 record, winning 7 Southwest Conference titles. During Meyer's tenure, TCU played in the first nationally televised regular season game against Kansas. Dutch Meyer retired after the 1952 season, and Abe Martin, who was the assistant on the staff, was promoted to be head coach. TCU won the Southwest Conference title in 1959, but after that championship, they would have a 20-year drought. They would beat number 1 ranked Texas in 1961, and Martin remained head coach until 1966, finishing with a 74, 64, and 7 record. After Martin retired, the Horned Frogs football program would struggle under Fred Taylor, Jim Pittman, Billy Tohill, Jim Schaffner, and F.A. Dry from 1967 and 1982. The program would hit rock bottom in the late 1970s. Schaffner would go 2-31 as head coach, and Dry followed that up with a 12, 51-3 record to close out the 70s and start the 80s. From 1974 to 1982, TCU won just 14 games and lost 82 and was one of the worst Division I-A programs at the time. Jim Wacker would lead TCU to a bowl game in 1984, but that would be the last bowl game until 1994. A few days after the first game of the 1985 season, Wacker found that a handful of players were violating NCAA rules and kicked them off the team. Wacker self-reported the violations, and TCU was put on a 3-year probation and banned from the postseason play in 1986. They were also given a reduction in scholarships for 1987 and 1988. These penalties would crush the program, as they were only able to achieve 3 winning seasons between 1985 and 1997. Wacker left for Minnesota, and Pat Sullivan was hired in 1992. Sullivan had won the 1971 Heisman at Auburn, but was unable to find the same type of success while coaching at TCU. They did win a share of the conference title in 1994, but he would go 24, 42-1 as head coach. He did sign one of the greatest running backs of all time, LaDainian Tomlinson, though. Tomlinson had received Division I offers to Baylor, TCU, UTEP, and North Texas, and would choose the Horned Frogs coming out of high school. He finished his career rushing for 5,387 yards and 56 touchdowns, and finished as one of the greatest college football running backs of all time. In Tomlinson's last 2 seasons alone, he ran for 4,132 yards and 42 scores on the way to being selected to the then San Diego Chargers and going on to have a Hall of Fame NFL career. Dennis Franchione took over as head coach in 1998 and quickly turned the program around with the help of Tomlinson. During the 2000 season, the Horned Frogs went 10-2, and Franchione would leave for the Alabama head coaching job after the regular season. Franchione finished his TCU career leading the Horned Frogs to 3 WAC championships and a 25-10 record. Enter Gary Patterson. I just want to take a second and ask if you are enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more college football content. Also, let me know which team I should do next in the comment section below. Gary Patterson was from Kansas and played safety and linebacker at Dodge City Community College in Kansas State. From 1982 to 1991, he served as the linebacker coach at Tennessee Tech, UC Davis, and Pittsburgh State, as well as defensive coordinator at Cal Lutheran and Sonoma State. He served as the head coach for the Oregon Lightning Bolts of the Professional Spring League in 1992, before returning to college to serve as Utah State's and Navy's defensive back coach until 1995. In 1996, Patterson was hired as Franchione's defensive coordinator at New Mexico and made the move to TCU with him in 1998. Patterson was a 2000 finalist for the Broyles Award, given annually to the nation's top college football assistant coach. He was named head coach at TCU prior to the Mobile, Alabama Bowl in December of 2000, after Franchione left to become the head coach at the University of Alabama. TCU would also leave the WAC for the Conference USA for the 2001 season. In 2002, TCU finished 10-2 and won a share of the conference title with Cincinnati. In 2003, led by Brandon Hassel and Robert Merrill on offense and a defense that allowed 21.2 points per game, TCU capped off an 11-2 season, beating Boise State in the Fort Worth Bowl. In 2004, the team took a step back, allowing 33.9 points per game, finishing the season 5-6. In 2005, TCU's first season in the Mountain West, they came out and played out of their minds, allowing only 18.6 points per game and putting together an 11-1 record, beating Iowa State in the Houston Bowl, winning the Mountain West Conference title and finishing as the 14th best team in the nation. In 2006, TCU came into the season as the 22nd ranked team in the nation and beat Baylor on the road to open up the season. Unfortunately, they would drop games to BYU and Utah in back-to-back weeks, dropping them out of the rankings. They finished the season 11-2, beating Northern Illinois in the Poinsettia Bowl and allowed 12.3 points per game. Enter the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. Dalton was a 3-star recruit coming out of the 2006 class with offers from Memphis, San Diego State, TCU, and UTEP. He led Katy High School to the state finals as his lone year as the starting quarterback his senior year, throwing for 2,877 yards, 42 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, and was named the Greater Houston Area Offensive Player of the Year by the Houston Chronicle. He redshirted in 2006 and took over the starting quarterback position in 2007. With Dalton as their starting quarterback, TCU finished 8-5 and beat Houston in the Texas Bowl. The following year, the defense allowed 11.3 points per game, and the Horned Frogs finished 11-2, with their only losses coming to number 2 Oklahoma and number 10 Utah, both on the road. In a return to the Poinsettia Bowl in 2008, the number 11 Frogs defeated number 9 Boise State 17-16. Boise State was the second to last unbeaten team in the nation in 2008, besides the Utah Utes. TCU's Poinsettia Bowl victory helped them finish the 2008 season ranked number 7 in the country. Going into the 2009 season, TCU came in as the 17th best team in the nation and went on the road to beat both Virginia and Clemson within their first 3 games. They also would go on to beat a ranked BYU squad and a ranked Utah squad throughout the season. They slowly rose up the rankings, being rated as the 4th best team from week 10 to week 13 before entering bowl season as the 3rd ranked team in the nation. They would play Boise State in a controversial Fiesta Bowl, which I talked about in a separate video, and had their undefeated season ended, losing 17-10. TCU went on to have an explosive 2010 season, combining an explosive offense which averaged 41.6 points per game and a dominant defense that allowed 12 points per game. They dominated almost everybody and beat my Wisconsin Badgers in a Rose Bowl Classic 21-19. The only other team to finish the season undefeated was Auburn, who beat an undefeated Oregon Ducks team in the national title game. Dalton held school career records for wins with 42, passing yards with 10,314, pass attempts, completions, and completion percentage at the time he graduated, but a few years later, most of those records were broken. In their first season without Dalton, TCU went 11-2, losing heartbreakers to Baylor and SMU, and upsetting number 5 Boise State. Going to the 2012 season, TCU joined the Big 12 after becoming known as one of the closest things to a major football power at the mid-major level. Patterson became the winningest head coach in TCU history in 2012, and with a new starting quarterback Trevon Boykin, the Horned Frogs finished 7-6. TCU had their worst season in 2013, finishing 4-8, but once again became one of the more dominant teams in college football in 2014. Going into the season, TCU was picked to finish towards the bottom of the conference, and that could not have been more wrong. The Horned Frogs put together a 12-1 record with a heartbreaking loss on the road to number 5 Baylor. Going to the college football selection show, they were the third best team in the nation, but controversially dropped to number 6 even though they beat Iowa State 55-3. They beat Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl 42-3, and once again, Horned Frog fans were left wondering what if when it came to the national title. TCU averaged 46.5 points per game, with Boykin throwing for 3,901 yards and 33 touchdowns, while also rushing for 707 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. TCU once again had a fantastic year in 2015, going 11-2 and beating Oregon in a crazy Alamo Bowl, but aside from 2017, when TCU went 11-3, since the 2015 season, the Horned Frogs have been mediocre. After a 5-7 season, TCU and Patterson mutually decided to part ways after a 3-5 start. At the time, he was the second longest tenured head coach behind Iowa's Kirk Ferentz. Patterson finished his TCU coaching career putting together a 160-57 record. He brought TCU to national prominence through a stout defense and explosive offense. But in recent years, that stout defense kind of just disappeared. I have a soft spot for TCU, although they beat Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. Back in the day, they rose to prominence with a pretty badass logo and cool uniform combos. I hope Sonny Dykes can right the ship down in Fort Worth, because college football was fun when TCU was good. What do you think? Will TCU be able to return to the national stage? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more college football content, and check out one of my other videos the algorithm knows you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.